Hey guys, Rugby H here. So yeah, back with 2025, I thought why not start off with Super Rugby transfers for the upcoming season for 2025. Before we get into this, guys, make sure guys to click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the transfers that have happened for this year, and if which one do you think is a standout one, but also which one do you think is the underrated transfer? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to see your thoughts. So, starting off the Blues, then the champions of so, starting off with the Blues, then the champions of last season's Super Rugby Pacific competition, they were pretty good. They were pretty good, and they added the likes of Buddha Barrett back towards their side now, coming back from Japan. They've added the likes of Che Clark as well, Peyton Spencer, Xavi Tutele, as well as Cameron Christie there. So some good additions there, I'd say, for the Blues. Again, they have lost the likes of Kate Banks, Akira Leone, Caleb Tengatau, and McKenna as well. So they have lost some talent in there, but at the same time, they're adding more depth towards the side of the likes of Buddha Barrett. They already have enough cover there, really, because they have the likes of Zoran Sullivan, Harry Plummer, along with Stephen Perifetta. So it'll be interesting to see how Buddha Barrett fits. Again, they'll obviously find a way to put him in this side because he's a world-class player on his day. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the Blues can do kind of in that back line, but also just a forward pack as well. Because I think Che Clark will be a good addition following the loss of Akira Leone, because it just will feel a bit, I feel a bit weird kind of not having him in the Blues shirt for this year. But anyway, hope he does well in Japan because he is just a heck of a player and really just a good servant for the Blues. So the kind of, grade kind of the Blues kind of transfers, for this year, I'd probably give them I'll give them a B minus because I think they've brought in Bowden Barrett, which is just incredible, but they've lost some good talents in there with the likes of Caleb Tengatau and McKenna. So I'm interested to see kind of in the long term how they'll go about not having those players. But in the short term, they've brought in a great player of the likes of Bowden Barrett. So I'll say a B minus is a fair kind of one for them. So the Chiefs, they've added likes of Leroy Carter from the New Zealand Sevens program, Jerome Brown from the Brumbies, as well as Brody McAllister from the Crusaders. So some pretty big additions there really for the Chiefs, because again, they were missing kind of that hooker in that final, and yeah, just kind of let them down really, just not having a first choice hooker. So it's good to have someone like Brody McAllister in there because he's definitely a good kind of backup towards Samisoni Tikalaho. And yeah, with the likes of Jerome Brown as well, maybe he can kind of be seen as like kind of a cover really for Sam Kane, who now is officially left the Chiefs. So yeah, overall, some good additions there, I'd say, for the Chiefs. In terms of the outgoings, they haven't lost a lot of players. Really, the two main ones is probably Tyrone Thompson as well as Josh Arowney, who's of course gone off towards the URC. But still, I think they haven't lost a lot of players in there. So I think overall, if I had to say what their season is in terms of transfers, I think B minus, exactly the same with the Blues, just because I think they've added some depth in there with the likes of Leroy Carter, Jerome Brown, as well as Raymond McCaster, but they haven't had a lot of. Actually, now that I look at it, it's actually better than the Blues. I'd say a B plus. Actually. More I look at it, it's actually better because they haven't lost a lot of talent. It's only really Josh Arowney, which I'm not sure is the biggest loss when you look at it from an overall perspective. So I'll say a B plus for them. B plus, actually. With the Highlanders, then, the Highlanders have made some kind of key changes towards this side. They've added the likes of, like I said, Caleb Tengatau, as well as McKenna from the Blues. They've also had the likes of Kautai from the Brumbies in terms of their propping positions. So that's a kind of good addition towards them. Besides that, they have lost, the likes of Jermaine Ainsley, Billy Parman, as well as Perry Parkinson. So they have lost some big talents in there in terms of experience, and that's kind of what the Highlanders have been lacking for a while. So I'm not sure if that's going to help them throughout this upcoming season. But at the same time, they always do well in kind of producing talent. And I think Caleb Tengatau will be definitely kind of an underrated transfer to kind of look at, because I think he can have a similar kind of trajectory towards what we saw with Jacob Ratavuki Nemkins, and kind of how he wasn't given a lot of playing time really at the Blues, just in terms of like player depth and kind of just the players already having those positions. And he had a really good season for the Highlanders. I can definitely see something similar with Caleb Tengatau. So I like to look at that. That's a good transfer really for the Highlanders. But if I had to grade their transfers, then I think I'd probably say they've added, but they've lost. So I think this is where I'd say similar towards the Blues. I'm going to say B minus. I think it's one of those where they've done well in both, but they've lost a lot of experience. So I can't really grade them like a plus or an A. I just think a B minus just is a solid amount. So I'll give them a B minus. So with the Hurricanes, then they've added some good talents in there with the likes of Cade Banks from the Blues, Anari from the Moana Pasifika in terms of that scrum half position, Riley Wahipa from the Crusaders, which is pretty key for them actually, that one in terms of the 10, because they have lost Brett Cameron towards an injury, which means that he'll be out really for the whole Super Rugby season, which is a big blow for them really, because he was actually pretty good for them for the majority of last year. So Yeah, that's a big blow really for the Hurricanes because they've lost a lot of talents on top of that with the likes of Riasi, Josh Morley, Justin Sangster, and then the big one, of course, Artis Sophia, who again wasn't playing for them last year, but still, it's a big loss for the Hurricanes. So yeah, I don't expect them to be the same team. Do I think they've made the signings that can cover the losses? I don't think so. I think honestly, guys, I think this is probably like a I hate to say this, but they lost some key players in there. So I'm going to say like a D. It could even be like lower than that, honestly. But I'm being very, very kind, I guess, because like again they lost it doesn't say there, but they also lost TJ Perinar as well. So yeah, I just think yeah. But again, they have Cam Warner coming back. They have some good talents there overall. The Hurricanes. I just think that in terms of the transfers, I don't think they've made enough. I guess to cover the loss they've had throughout this year. So I'm gonna have to say like oh, yeah, I'm gonna say a D. I think that's one of the lowest I'm gonna give throughout this video, guys. But I'm gonna say a D. It could even be lower than that, guys. But I'm being generous for now. I'm gonna say a D for them. In terms of the Crusaders, then, in terms of what they've done, again, I think out of all the sides, they made the least signings that kind of really impacted them. I mean, at the end of the day, they just really needed their players to come back from injury because they didn't have a lot of their kind of talent available towards them last year. The Blacks, Will Jordan not available. They didn't have Cody Taylor for a while due to sabbaticals. So yeah, just good to have those players back in the field, even like Brett Anwar as well. But again, they've added the big one is probably James O'Connor. They've added towards the side in terms of that 10 position. They haven't really had a 10 since Richard Moana has left. Again, they did lose Fergus Burke again. He was injured throughout the last year, but made a decision to kind of go off towards England and play for Saracens now. So it's a big loss really for the Crusaders and for NZ Rugby. So yeah, look, James O'Connor, it's interesting to see how he'll do in this Crusaders side because he's always a player that I've appreciated a lot during his time at the Reds. Really do appreciate him overall. And again, his parents are from New Zealand, so there's definitely a connection there in terms of how I'm just interested to see how well he'll do towards this Crusaders side because again, he does bring that experience, which is it's actually needed, I think, for this Crusader side, following what we saw last year and kind of their demise. So hopefully a bit of experience kind of shake them up really. And I think James O'Connor is a good addition towards them. But again, in terms of the outgoings, like I said, Brody McAllister, Lee Halfpenny, again, not a player who played a lot of mids, so not a big loss there. Ryan Crotty was brought in, but again, not a big loss. Zach Gallagher, again, has now gone off towards the Hurricanes. So yeah, again, just they've lost some talents in there, but I think I'll probably give them like a C. I'm gonna give them like a C. Yeah, I just think it's one of those. Like, I'm not going to say a plus or minus, but I'm just going to say a C for the Crusaders because the big thing is really just for them to have their players available, and they do have that now. Well, fingers crossed they do have that, but I think a C is pretty generous, I think, for them. So yeah, I'll give them that grade. Moving on then towards Moana Pasifika, I think for them, they've made definitely the big signing of this year. And that's without a doubt Artis Sophia. I mean, that is the game changer right there for Moana Pasifika. And definitely a player who can just impact the side in the forwards and the backs, just in terms of his mentality, just his world-class status. So it's always good to have a player like Artis Sevilla join your side. So looking forward to see what he can do, obviously with his brother as well, Julian Sevilla there as well. So yeah, it'll be good to see what they can do together in there. They've also brought in the likes of Solomon Olomalo from NRL. He had a stint in NRL, which again, I don't think it paid off too well, but again, it's good to see him back in Super B with Moana Pasifika. He's a heck of a player. He was pretty good and he was pretty dangerous actually for the Chiefs back in the day. So kind of looking forward to see what he can do this time around for Moana Pasifika. They've also added Pompa Fonamwasi from the Rebels. Again, that's a good addition for them because he can kind of help in that kind of front row there. Jackson Gordon Bashop, another Hurricanes player, well, ex-Hurricanes player. So good to kind of see another kind of 10 to kind of fill that position because, again, they have lost the likes of Christian Alfano. They've lost, Kapu towards retirement, Henry Tefu in terms of center position. And then, Nigel Alwong as well and Anari. So, again, they've lost a lot of players, but again, they've added some depth in there for those players they've added in. So I think I'm going to have to say, I'm going to give this, I think this is the highest grade I'm going to give so far. I'm going to say an A minus, just because when you're bringing a player like Artis Sevilla, it's just a game changer. And again, the other additions they've added with Alamano, I think that's an underrated one as well, underrated signing there. And then, Pompa Fonamwasi as well. He's a good prop. So I think overall they've had a good transfer window, I'd say, from Moana Pasifika, and it's much needed as well. Much needed. I guess for the Fijian Drua, then they've made some good additions as well. They've added the likes of Penny Ravi from the Reds. It's a pretty big addition actually because he was pretty good actually for the Reds throughout last year. So it's a good kind of steal from the Queensland Reds there. Again, they've also added Tamani there, Tabaleo, as well as Kawawebu, who again I believe he was part of I've seen him play. I think for the Fijians actually, he was a part of that Autumn Nations. I think that's where I saw him, and he was pretty good throughout that one. So I'm looking forward to see what he can kind of do in this side. But again, Fijian Drua, they're always like kind of the best side to watch really in terms of Super Rugby. I think every kind of fan of any club can kind of tell you that whenever you tune in, if you want to see a game, Fijian Drua is kind of like the best experience really. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what they can do. But in terms of the transfers, in terms of outgoings, I think the only big one really is Volta. Again, I did see there was a rumor that Ratumanda may be going off towards France, but that hasn't been announced yet. So I'm not sure if it'll be done before the upcoming season or just he plays the season and then he moves on. But they've only lost a Volta there. So again, it's a big loss, but at the same time, Fijian Drua, they have a lot of covers. So I think they've added a lot of key talent actually in there. So I'm going to give them a B plus actually, I think, for this in terms of their transfers. I think they've done really well in that kind of I guess in terms of what they've done in covering different positions in the side. So overall, like what they've done there. In terms of the Australian sides now, so starting off with the Reds. The Reds have added a lot of key players. Again, most of these sides have added players from the Rebels following their kind of demise. And yeah, with that, with the likes of Lockie Anderson, with one, you have Josh Canham as two, Fleetwood and Goddard as three, Matt Gibbon, Lachlan Sakailoto. Those are five. What was it? 5 players that they've added. So it's pretty impressive, and all 5 of them can actually be big additions for the Reds. Like all of them could practically start actually if you think about it, because Matt Gibbon comes in for Penny Rabbi, who they've lost. Lockie Anderson is a good winger, can fit in that right wing spot. Had a good season for the Rebels actually, and getting a lot of tries for them. Josh Canham is an up and coming great lock actually. But again, the Reds actually have a really good duo actually with Smith there, and then again they have Lachlan Sakailoto who's back in the side. So he's just a great player to have in general. And then you have the likes of Felipe Dongado as well, who's again shown that he can play in that 13 spot, which could be big really for the Reds. Again, they really do. They have cover there already, but again, he can fit in the wing spots if needed. So it's a good player to have, really someone who's versatile in that area. But again, in terms of the outgoings, they've lost the likes of James O'Connor, who I've already mentioned, Jordan Mattia, who I believe has gone off to try off the NFL actually. So we'll see how that goes. But again, yeah, Penny Rabbi as well as Mac Reilly. So they've lost some players in there, but I think they've added a lot more players in terms of quality towards their side. So I think I'll give this an A minus because they have lost some players in there. So I'm going to say an A minus. I'll say an A minus. But really good transfer window really for the Reds there. They'll definitely be a better team. I expect them to be a better team for this upcoming season. So then with the Brumbies then, they've added some key players as well from the Rebels. Not as many. They've only added David Fawali as well as Tualima really in that locking spot. Again, he'll be a good player they kind of have because they did lose the likes of Darcy Swain. They've lost Tamati Tua, which is a big loss actually for the Brumbies because he was actually really good for them last year. Really exciting player in terms of center spots, so that'll be a big loss for them. Again, they lost Kautai, who already mentioned beforehand. Jerome Brown, of course, mentioned beforehand, going on towards the Chiefs. Yeah, overall, I think the Brumbies they're a team which they haven't made a lot of additions towards the side, like in terms of who'll take them towards the next level. I think David Wally is at least a good addition, kind of to cover at least the loss of Tamati Tua. But I think besides that, they haven't made anything else. So I think I'm just going to say like a C. I'm going to say a C for this Brumbies side. I expect them to be the same side going into this upcoming season. So yeah, I'm going to give them a C. So now with the Western Force, they've made a lot of changes towards this side. They've added likes of Brandon Pingamosa. They've added, Darcy Swain, Dylan Peach. They've added, Matt Proctor, Nick Dolly, Harry Johnson Holmes, Mac Reilly, Ekwasi, like Nick Champion as well. It's some good signings in there. And it's not just within like one area of the field. It's like throughout the whole kind of 15. Like you have Brendan Pingamosa, who was excellent for the Wallabies. I've always rated him a lot, really. He was great for the Reds back in the day, and he'll be a great addition towards the Western Force. Again, he can compete with Tom Horton there, who was pretty good actually for them as starting spot anyway. So they got 2 decent kind of hookers there. Darcy Swain, great addition from the Brumbies. A big loss towards the Brumbies as well, but a key addition really for the Western Force in terms of experience. You got Matt Proctor in there again, another experienced player. You got Dylan Peach again. That's a pretty good steal actually from the Waratahs because he's been pretty good actually for them. So it's a good steal for them and definitely a player needed really for this Western Force side because they have been lacking, I'd say, in terms of those winger spots in terms of kind of just creativity. So I like the try scoring ability really. So Peach definitely fills that kind of category there. And yeah, Harry Johnson Holmes coming from the Waratahs again, another signing from them. Mac Reilly, another winger. Ikwasi, another player from the Rebels. So they've added some good players there. Even like Nick Dolly, like from England, man. But again, he's qualified to play for Australia, but still good signings in there. But again, they have lost a lot of players with the likes of Santiago Medrano moving off. So yeah, he's been there for a while, so that's a big loss for them. Ian Pryor not playing for them anymore. Michael Wells. Well, currently Bill, it does say he's actually moved on, but actually, as I'm filming this, it's been recently announced that he has signed a 1-year deal now with the Western Force, so he'll be here for another year, but he'll only come in halfway through the season just because he's still kind of recovering from his injury. But Curly Bill is a part of the, I guess, key additions you can say. So think of him in that sense. Besides that, they've also lost Isaac Rada, Sam Spank, as well as Chase Tia. So they have lost some players in there, but again, they've made so many good signings in there, the Western Force. So rather grade them, I think I'm going to give them. I'll give them an A- again. I think there's another side who've just done really well in terms of adding towards their side. So A-, I'd give it towards Western Force. So finally, we're left with the last team here, the Waratahs. And man, there's a reason why I left them for last, guys, because I think they have had an excellent transfer window in terms of the players they've brought in have been incredible. I mean, they brought in Andrew Callaway, kind of the marquee player, I really think, from the Rebels. So that's a big signing for them and kind of will fit definitely a starting player within that 15 spots or 14 or even 13 he's played. So he's a very versatile player, great player to have. They've added Darby Lancaster as well from the Rebels. They then added Rob Lutea, which is a good signing really from that back row because they do need some cover there, I'd say, in that back row. And yeah, they've also added like Tino Tupo and Isaac Kalea in both prop positions, both Wallaby props. I mean, that's just like, that's incredible. To have two props in there who will join the likes of Angus Bell, who's already in the side. So, like, they look pretty good, I guess, in terms of their front row there. And then, yeah, they've also added Lawson Credits in there. And he's actually an underrated one, actually, because he can cover a lot of positions, but he's a good kind of backup, really, towards Ted Edmond, who, of course, will probably be their first choice 10. There have also been some outgoings, I say, from this Waratah side as well. They've also likes of Mark Nagquantawasi, Dylan Peach. They've lost Jed Holloway, Harry Charleston Holmes. They've then lost the likes of Ned Hannigan, Will Harrison, Ezra Parise. So, yeah, they've lost some key players in there. So it's not like all, like, just highs really for this Waratahs side, but again, the signings they've made have just been really good. So I think I just have to give them an A+, guys. I think they're the one team which I just think have been. I was just like, whoa, like Waratahs, man, they really went all out in signing these players from the Rebels and got some big ones actually in there, particularly the two props, and then getting Andrew Callaway is incredible, but then also getting Joseph Swiley, man, from the NRL was just the game changer, and hopefully he'll be a game changer in his first season in Super Rugby. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's my only A+, I think, for this upcoming Super Rugby window. Yeah, look, I'm looking forward towards the new season, guys. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on my grading system. Do you agree with the grades I gave? Yeah, let me know what would you give, I guess, in terms of your grading system for each of the teams that I've listed. Let me know which is the best transfer, I think, out of all the teams we've seen, as well as the underrated one. I want to know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, guys. Like the video, guys. Subscribe to our channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.